about to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's go, let's be free with me. Be free. Not looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche. We're on the run, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts. Be free.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our latest GCSE Sociology revision session. And we've got our favourites, Vicky and Craig. Unfortunately, Katie can't be with us today, so we've drafted Duncan in off the subs bench as well. So Duncan's with us if you've not met Duncan before. Fortunately, he knows everything there is to know about what we're covering today. But in the event that he doesn't, Craig, do you want to give us an overview as to what we're going to cover in this fast-paced session on the key texts, families, education and crime, and then we'll get straight into the activities. Looks like Craig is muted. Duncan, do you want to give us an overview as to what's going on?
Oh, I'm back.
Oh, Craig's back.
He's back.
It's the unmute button, Craig, that you need. Good to see you found it. Craig, I was just inviting you to give us an overview of the session.
It's my turn. Yeah, it's my turn for the blooper reel this week. Okay, so this week we're going to look at the GCSE key studies. These are the key studies that you need to know when you're studying AQA GCSE Sociology. There's around about just under 30 studies that you need to know across the 4 different areas of the specification. Today we're going to focus on crime, education and families. Some of those key studies that you need to understand. So we'll be looking at crime first of all. I'm going to do a picture quiz to start us off with. We've got Duncan doing some bingo, and we've got Vicky doing 30-second challenge, 60-second challenge, I believe. Yeah, that's right.
I'm doing both.
So if
yes,
without doing both, yeah. On the right-hand side, there is a chat window. For those of you who are new, what we do is we ask you the questions, and we want you to put the answers in the chat window on the right-hand side. Usually the answers are things like A, B, C, D. Sometimes there are longer form answers, but you will get the gist of it as we go along. So if we can start on our first round, please, which is the picture quiz. And that is with me. Okay, so on the picture grid, you're going to see 6 questions. Every time a question comes up, and once you've answered that question, it will reveal a picture behind it. So what we want you to do in the right-hand column is we want you to type in the answer to each question, and whoever gets the picture first, will win kind of the prestige and respect of everybody here at Choose It To You. So if we have the first question, please. I don't really have anything to give away this week. So according to strain theory, what do most people aspire to? What was the term that was used that suggested, according to strain theory, most people aspired to what? Big term that's used. Think about kind of a country over the water somewhere.
Any ideas? Be brave. I'll type something in.
Something Donald Trump was the epitome of.
Oh, someone's Dizzle Dazzle.
Oh, here we go. Dizzle Dazzle's back again. Dizzle Dazzle, the American dream. Olivia said legitimate goals.
Yep.
Legitimate goals is the way in which that is a good response. It's not the specific response I'm looking for. So the answer is, let's see.
It's there. It's there already, Craig. It's
Am I a little bit behind?
Well done. It's down at the bottom.
Okay, my screen's got a little bit behind. Oh, so it is, yes. Can we have the next question, please? So we've revealed a little bit of the picture. See if you can guess who that is from there. Which adaptation to strain accepted both the goals of society and the means of achieving them? So that's adaptation to strain suggested that there were legitimate goals and legitimate means?
I was just about to say that's referring back to what Olivia was saying in the chat window, isn't it? About the
legitimate goals
and means. Yeah.
Yeah, you are right, Olivia. Louisa said conformist. Good guess. Anybody else? Louisa, you're absolutely correct.
Well done.
Should we move on? Louisa is absolutely correct. It was conformity. That was the adaptation to strain. If we could look at our next piece. Anybody got any ideas about who it might be? I'll give you a clue. It's not Duncan and it's not me. And that doesn't mean it's Vicky or Jim. Although you never know. Okay, the question. Which adaptation to strain rejected the goals of society but accepted the means of achieving this goal? So rejected the goal, but still accepted the means of achieving that goal. Which adaptation to strain rejects the goals, but accepts the means?
Louisa's in again.
Louisa's in again with ritualism.
Does everyone agree?
I think Louise is 2 for 2 so far.
Yeah, well done.
Yep, it is ritualism. Let's reveal another piece of the picture. Oh,
it appears to be a male. It appears to be a male sociologist without a beard, so that does definitely
it does narrow it down a bit. There are certain groups of sociologists who don't have beards, but they do tend to go for a moustache instead. Obviously, I'm thinking of sort of like, those on the right of the kind of spectrum. They don't necessarily like a beard. It's a little bit too socialist for them. So our fourth question: which adaptation to strain rejects both the socially approved goals, the legitimate goals of society, and the means of achieving them? Now, this is a bit of a 50-50 one here, but we'll come back to that in a minute. Which adaptation to strain rejects both the socially approved goals and the means of achieving them?
Olivia's in there.
Olivia's come in. Olivia said retreatists.
Dizzle
Dazzle said retreatism. And you would both be correct. It is retreatism. So let's remove one more piece of the puzzle. Anybody, any ideas who we're looking at? No, not just yet. Which adaptation to strain accepted the goals of mainstream society? They accepted the idea of the American dream, but they used illegitimate means to achieve this goal. So who accepts the goal of society, but uses illegitimate means? Dizzle Dazzle's having a go. Vicky thinks she knows. It would be a good assumption, given sort of like we're talking about theory, but. So which adaptation to strain accepts the goals of mainstream society, but uses illegitimate means to achieve this goal? In other words, turns to crime. And Dizzle Dazzle's got it there. Innovation. Olivia's got it as well. Innovation. Perfect. Let's reveal this piece of the puzzle. I don't think it's going to give away too much, is it really? But, there you go. You've seen the person's shoulder. That it might be a very recognizable shoulder in sociology, but everything. Yeah. And our final question here, which adaptation to strain offered an alternative goal, an alternative means of achieving this new goal? So by the process of elimination, if we think about the 5 adaptations to strain, which one are we talking about here? They look for an alternative goal and they adopt alternative means of achieving this goal.
So a bit like the retreatists, they reject them both. Oh, Olivia's in here.
Mm-hmm. Olivia, yeah. The main difference between rebels and retreatists are that obviously the rebels develop a new goal, don't they? Yeah. They look for an alternative to the main view society. And if we could reveal our final piece, this might give it away. Yes, no beard. No beard on a sociologist. That's very rare.
Clearly American.
Mm-hmm.
Robert, Tenzin.
And there we go, Tenzin. Robert Merton. Robert K for King Merton. Okay, so that's our picture grid over with. And our next activity is our 60-second challenge with Vicky.
Okay, so this time we are going to focus on education. I'm going to give you 5 key terms and their definitions, and you just need to match them up in the chat window. I'll give you, obviously you'll have a 60-second timer. At the end of that, hopefully you've managed to get all of them, and we'll talk through and see how many you have got correct. Can we have the timer on, please, Jim? Thank you very much.
So you could type in the letter, then the number, for example, to mix them together. Which one do you think's A? Oh, Dizzle Dazzle's in.
Louisa's come through with a few answers there.
Excellent. Right, let's have a look at what we've got then. So we have got we've got A4 coming through quite a couple of times. We've got C2 coming through 3 times. We have B3. We seem to have E5, and we seem to have D1 coming through a couple of times also. So let's have a look and see what answers we have got correctly. So some of you have correctly identified that A goes with 4. So self-fulfilling prophecy, where something, well, we predict something and it causes it to become true. So interactionists talk about this when they're talking about the effects of labelling. There's a very famous study that you may have looked at with Rosenthal and Jacobson, who did a study with an elementary school in America, where they told teachers that a certain group of students were gifted, who were not gifted, and the teachers treated them very differently. And it kind of is saying that what teachers believe students will achieve. Okay, so we have a look at B, goes with 3, so social cohesion, a sense of belonging to something much bigger. So this is a functionalist idea coined by Durkheim, the idea that schools promote social cohesion. Students feel that they belong to a part of a community and they belong to something much, much bigger and better. Okay, C is meritocracy with 2, where success and status in life depends primarily on your talents, your abilities, and your effort. And again, this is a functionalist ideal. So Talcott Parsons talked about this. He says that, if you work hard, you will go on to succeed, although lots of other sociologists disagree with this. So certainly Marxists would not agree that schools are a meritocracy. A counter-school culture, where the values and culture of a school are opposed. So some of you will remember the Paul Willis Ladd study or the Learning to Labour study, where those students felt that school was actually quite irrelevant to them because they were going to go on and work in factories where they didn't need to have qualifications. Therefore, they didn't feel that they needed to work particularly hard, so they just kind of went against the school system there. And then finally, an agent of secondary socialisation. So an institution which takes over socialisation from the family. So if we think about socialisation, you have your primary socialisation, which is done by the family in early age. And then we have lots of agents of secondary socialisation, and schools are part of this. And again, Talcott Parsons would argue that one of the main functions of education is to teach the norms and values to children that have not been taught at home. Right, thank you very much, Jim.
Okay, so we've got some bingo now. I'm sure after a hard day at school or college, I'm sure a lot of you have had today, nothing, you couldn't think of anything better to do than have a game of bingo. I'm absolutely sure of that. So there are a few ways you could play along with this. I mean, if you want to draw yourself a grid, you may, but obviously we can't see that and judge your grid. So feel free to type into the box. We're going to, this is all about Rappaport and Rappaport's study. So we're back onto families now. So try and remember what you can about Rappaport and Rappaport. And what I'd like you to do, and you can type it into the box, is to think of some key terms relating to Rappaport and Rappaport. If you can think of 6, that's brilliant. But just type, if you can think of 1, type it in. Think some more, type them in afterwards. Let's try and get 6 between us, or more than 6. And then we'll have a bingo machine that will ping out some concepts. I've preloaded it with a load of balls, but I don't know which ones will necessarily come out. And we'll see whether collectively we've got a full house or not. Okay, so take a minute or two now just to write some concepts into the chat window that you would associate with Rappaport and Rappaport's study. Initially, I'm not going to say more about their study because one of the main things I'd say about it may well be one of those key terms. But if no one writes anything for a minute, I'll remind you about which study it is. But let's just see if anyone puts some key concepts in straight away, first of all. Can you remember your Rappaports?
I know they had a good rapport with their subjects.
That's a good research method.
Bad sociology jokes.
Gag there. Okay, although this will probably give away one of the key terms that may come out of my bingo machine, just remind you that Rappaport's study was about family diversity. Oh, Louisa, I didn't need to say it because Louisa's come in with a load there. Dizzle dazzle as well. So Louisa's coming organizational diversity, class diversity, life course diversity, cultural diversity, and cohort diversity. And Dizzle dazzle has mentioned life course diversity. So I suspect we may well have pretty much got the bingo grid filled. Shall we move on to that bit? If anyone wants to think of any other concepts that they'd relate to Rappaport and Rappaport, but I think they're actually probably all covered there. Okay, let's have a look. So first out of the machine is family diversity. So we kind of talked about that by having diversity after all those concepts, but we are going to have probably the different types of diversity now. So I suspect Louise is going to be able to shout bingo in a minute. Cultural, did we have cultural diversity? We did. Well done, Louisa. If you get all of them, by the way, you've got to shout. And we all know that on chat windows, you shout by typing in capitals. You can shout bingo. Okay, we've got organizational diversity. So again, well done, Louisa. Class diversity. Again, well done, Louisa. Do we just have Louisa and Dizzle Dazzle contribute to this one? Sorry if I've missed anyone else. Cohort, well done. And the last one, life cycle or life course, well done. Okay. Well done. Really good. Excellent stuff there. Does anyone want to shout bingo? I'll keep an eye out for it in the in the chat window. Yay, well done, Dizzle Dazzle. All right, yeah. I'm going to hand back to Craig now, I think, for some countdown conundrums.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously, I'm stepping in today for Rachel Riley. Never mind. So, okay, what we're going to do today is we are going to look at a conundrum. The letters of each key phrase, obviously linked into key studies in crime and deviance. They have been rearranged. And you will have 30 seconds to solve the conundrum. There are 3 in this section and another 2 later on in the section to finish us off. So let's look at the first sociology conundrum then, please. So you'll have 30 seconds to solve it. And our conundrum is aged lender. Now, remember, these are linked to the key studies in the crime and deviance. So these are terms that you may come off. You may come through.
Ooh. Maybe think feminism.
Lender.
Lender aged. Graham's got a good idea there. It could be.
Aged lender.
Anyone think maybe we're out of time, but maybe think feminism and
Lender
crime
aged,
and deviance.
Yeah. Think about maybe something that, if we think about Pat Carlin.
And the first letter is a G.
Pat Carlin, what type of sociologist is Pat Carlin? And that might give you a little bit of a clue as to what aged lender is.
Oh, Jack's there.
There you go. Well done, Jack. It is the gender deal, one of Carlin's 2 deals that were offered. Can we have a look at our next conundrum, please? Which may be slightly easier. Again, this is a study. This is based on a key study that's on the specification that looks at crime.
Well done, Jack.
Clad Sales, that famous sociologist. That's right. Louise has got gender deal. Louise has now put class deal, so she's answered both of those. That would be correct. It is the class deal, the second of Carlin's 2 deals that were offered to women to stop them from committing crime as part of a control theory. Obviously, sort of like those who rejected the class and gender deals, she found in her research from unstructured interviews with women who had criminal records that they had rejected both the class and gender deal, and that's why they turned to criminality. Okay, so our final conundrum for this round, please. Globally neither. This one may be a little bit more difficult. Again, it's linked to a key study in crime.
Can you think of another clue, Craig? See if anyone gets in quicker than Jack.
If we think about some of the key studies, obviously the likes of Cohen and Carlin, Heidenson.
What does this one start
This one
with,
is
Craig?
pretty tough.
Yes, we have a first letter.
Good question. Slightly forgotten this one. It's so difficult, I can't even solve it at the moment off the top of my head. Let's go. I completely forgot. I thought it was another one that was coming up. Go on. So yes,
Shall we? Shall we see? Oh, of course
Labeling
it is.
theory.
Of course, it's
It
labeling
was Howard
theory.
Becker. It was Howard Becker. I know which of the theorists are on there, and I completely forgot that I was thinking I'd put labeling, not labeling theory. So yes, labeling theory, suggested by Howard Becker in his classic text, The Outsiders. Obviously, Becker looks at the idea of social construction, the social construction of crime, and how the labeling of criminals can have an impact. I'm definitely going on the blooper reel this week, aren't I? Okay, our next activity is with Vicky.
Okay,
it is with
so
Vicky.
we're going to do the 30-second challenge. I've got 4 questions for you. Again, my questions are all about education. So 30 seconds, if you can pop some answers in the chat window, and we'll have a look at each one as we go. So the first question is, what did Durkheim argue were the main functions of education? Off we go, Jim. So think about, we did mention Durkheim in the 60-second challenge. Have a think about that.
Some good ones coming through.
Excellent. So Dizzle's on fire again. We've got social solidarity, specialist skills. Louise has come up with socialisation. Can we have some of the answers up, please, Jim? Thank you very much. So the idea there of that secondary socialisation, passing on those norms and values, helping people to become good members of society, promoting social cohesion, that idea of social solidarity, and also developing that sense of belonging to something a bit bigger, certainly through subjects that you study, like maybe geography, history, obviously sociology. And he also argued that school was a society in miniature, so it would prepare children for wider life. For example, at school you're sanctioned, you will learn to cooperate with people, all those sorts of things that obviously will help you prepare for your adult life. Thank you very much, Jim. Can we have question 2 up, please? Okay, so we're looking at the Marxist theory this time. So how did Bowles and Gintes argue that schools reinforce the class system? Again, if you were watching a couple of weeks ago, we talked about these guys in quite a bit of detail. Can we have the timer on, please, Jim?
If you need a quick reminder, correspondence theory might help you.
Okay, thank you. Well done, Dizzle. We've got hierarchy of authority. Excellent. That's certainly part of it. So we've got the correspondence principle coming through from Louisa, oppressing working class children, timetables, uniforms, some good responses there. Jim, can we have some of the answers up, please? Perfect. So with correspondence theory, they argue that the major role of schools is to recreate a hard-working, docile, obedient workforce, which is what the people in charge of all the systems want. So those people that own the means of production want those docile, obedient workers who will work hard for them and not argue. Encourage that acceptance of hierarchy. You know, teachers, you have to respect your teachers, you have to do as you're told. Obviously, when you're older, unfortunately, you have to do that with your bosses as well. And you're motivated by external rewards. So for you guys, it's obviously listening to us talk so you can pass your GCSEs. In the workplace, it's your pay packet. So Craig and Duncan and I are motivated by the all the pounds that we'll get from talking to you, rather than this kind of love of learning. Although obviously we are very happy to be here because this is fun. Right, third question, please, Jim. Thank you very much. So, what was Stephen Ball's argument against setting within schools? Can we have the timeline, please, Jim?
So, arguments against setting. Do you remember what setting is?
Okay, so we have Dizzle coming through with some students are late developers academically. So perhaps you could argue that maybe they're popped into the wrong streams from an early age. Excellent, Jack, you're right. They do argue the self-fulfilling prophecy could occur here. So Stephen Ball was an interactionist, so they're interested in like relationships and things in the classroom. Certainly labeling is kind of looked in, they talk about labeling quite a lot of detail about children being labeled and put into certain sets. So one of his arguments in the study that he did was that when he was looking at sets, he found that top sets, children top sets were often pushed and warmed up. There was higher expectations, but those in bottom sets were cooled down. So they were given less opportunity to learn good knowledge. They might not be set homework quite so much, which I guess quite a lot of you would think was a good thing. They were allowed to chat more, and this would lead to the self-fulfilling prophecy. And again, labeling theory coming up here as well. So see, Craig talked about labeling theory in terms of crime, but Becca did some work with labeling in the classroom as well. Right, final question, please, Jim. Thank you very much. So last question, why did Paul Willis argue that some boys develop counter school culture? So I did mention this in the 60-second challenge. If we can have the 30-second timer, please, Jim, and if you can pop your answers into the chat window. So think about his really famous lad study. Okay, good. So we've got Louise coming through with an idea about sort of rebelling against the system here. We've got anything else coming through? Peer pressure, interesting. So peer pressure, an idea of like, you know, not wanting to be seen to be working hard. It's not cool to work hard. Don't have cultural capital, so they get labelled. The prophecy is fulfilled for them to rebel. Excellent. And good anti-school attitude definitely does link in. Well done, Olivia. So can we just have some of the answers up, please, Jim? So one of the things that he talked about in his study, Learning to Labour, which lots of you will know as a lad study, is that these boys saw through the lies of the education system. So they are constantly told by teachers that if they work really hard, they'll get really good grades and they'll do really well. However, like I said in the last activity, these boys don't need to have really good grades because they knew that they were going to end up working in local factories where their actual grades didn't really mean anything. So therefore, didn't need those qualifications. They saw school as an opportunity just to enjoy themselves and not have to work hard. Excellent. Thank you very much. That's the end of my activity. So we're going to go over to Duncan.
Me. Okay, so we've got a connection wall here. We're back to families, back to studies of families. And we normally have, when we do these connection walls, there's 16 phrases or words on the screen, just the 12 this time. So you need to work out 3 groups of 4. Try and work out what connects them. I'll give you a few, like a minute, just to see whether you can spot what the connections might be. But otherwise, I'll start to suggest a few of them. If you think about the studies, if you think about the key studies to do with families, that should help you. And obviously, we've talked about some of them already. Tell you what. Oh, shared leisure time, shared chores, and shared decision making. Louise said, "What do you think the connection is? Which study or which topic?" I think you're right. Tell you what, I think we might start with. I'll start leading you towards one, stabilize adult personalities, functional primary socialization, are all Parsons. Well done, Dizzle Dazzle. That's good. What do you think serves the needs of capitalism unit of consumption, some of these ones. What do you think that? What else might link with that, and what do you think what might be the link? When you hear people talk about capitalism, it's normally one particular perspective. Most of them don't talk about that, but one perspective always does. Marxism, Jack, well done. Can we think of a Marxist as one of the key studies for families, and which other topics they might have talked about? So serves the needs of capitalism, unit of consumption, 2 more there that would link to that. Could have been Althusser, Jack, but on the GCSE spec with the key studies, we're looking at. Shall we look at that one? I think that's the first one to come up. Shall we have a quick look? Which one that is? It's Zaretsky. Yeah, it could have been Engels as well. Well done. And we've got the and Safe Haven would have been a good one there. It wasn't on the not on the screen, but well done, Olivia. So the psychological function reproduces the next generation of work, serves the needs of capitalism. The family is a unit of confirmation. Well done. Oh, did Dizzle get it? I missed that. Sorry, Dizzle. Okay, but I think we've seen the other 2 connections put together by different people. So should we just have a quick look? So someone mentioned stabilized adult personalities, functional primary socialization, all being Parsons, and then someone else has talked about the shared chores, symmetrical. It's one of them family types. We haven't got family types there. Nuclear family might be Parsons as well, mightn't it? Have we got what the other one could be? So I think we've got 4 that might be Parsons. Do we know what the one with the symmetrical and shared leisure time, shared decision making, shared chores could be? Which key study refers to those things? Symmetrical is probably the good giveaway. Yes, well done, Dizzle Dazzle. Shall we have a look at the other 2 groups then? I think we've got them. So shared chores, symmetrical, shared decision making, shared leisure time, roles in the home according to Wilmot and Young, the symmetrical family. Well done. A few of you getting that one in the end. And then, as a few of you got earlier on, the other 4 were key ideas associated with Parsons. So well done, well spotted. I always think those are quite challenging activities, but they're quite good. They're quite good for sort of sorting concepts, and some of you are coming up with concepts that should have been on the board and weren't, so that was good as well. I'm gonna hand back to Craig for a couple of last countdown conundrums before we call it a night.
Thank you, Duncan. I've got my notes out now for the second set. Go on. Okay, so if we look at our first conundrum, again, this is linked to key studies in crime. So if we have 30 seconds, cheerfully pole spiffing, which kind of sounds like something Boris Johnson might say, but well, I'm getting a lot of attention over in the chat window. Never mind. Cheerfully pole spiffing.
The A-level one on Wednesday this week is going to be at 7:30, by the way. That's not necessarily a permanent time, but it's what we're doing this week. So
it's not the chivalry thesis, unfortunately, Jack. It's not the chivalry thesis.
Have we got any clues? I know we're out of time, but
cheerfully pole spiffing. They've all kind of got mixed up in order.
I've seen people talk about this. People have talked about this a lot today. When we were talking about labeling and other things. I think someone can get this.
I've just worked it out.
I think someone can get this one.
I think I've just worked it out, and I wrote it.
Go on. What
happens when you're labelled?
I've just given a clue, Dizzle Dazzle. It was that
what happens when you're labelled?
What
potentially could happen? Potentially could happen when you're labelled.
What did Rosenthal and Jacobson investigate? I know these are actually for crime, but I'm making an education link there.
Jack's got it.
Has he got it? Oh, yes.
It's shorthand, but he's got it. Yes, it is the self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay, and our final one, and I'm hoping this is the same one I wrote. Never mind. The AstroTurf Stint USA. It was by an American sociologist. American sociologist, generally linked with subcultural theories. Oh, sorry, I'm singing.
Any clues?
Well,
I
it's
know
an
you've
American
given them two.
sociologist who was influenced by one of the sociologists that I did in my very first activity. And it was talked about young males and sort of like how they have blocked opportunities in education and
I've
tend
got
to.
it.
Just got it.
I've got it.
Has anybody else got it? You'll be frustrated if you don't get this.
That was a big
Really?
clue, by the way. That was a big clue that Craig just gave them. Think Albert Cohen. Think subcultural theories. Anyone got it? Oh, it's so frustrating.
It is a tough one.
Oh, Dizzle Dazzle's got it. Well done.
At the last minute has come through and got it. It is statist frustration. That is correct.
Well done.
It is statist frustration. Yeah, sorry. So I'm just doing a little bit of revision. I'm doing a bit of revision for next week. 595 from GCSE.net. Just revising to make sure I get it right next week or Wednesday. Yeah, I am there. Thank you very much. That was a lot of good responses there. There were some tough challenges there. I think the conundrums can be a little bit tough on you. Usually when we do these, sort of like we're doing them in a big cinema theatre and there's lots of people whispering around and stuff like that. So they are a little bit tough, those ones. But we've seen some really good knowledge, particularly on Duncan's Rappaport's bingo. Everybody got the 5 kind of different types of diversity very quickly. So thank you very much for tuning in today. Remember, if you've enjoyed this session, or if you just enjoyed saying Craig, which is quite weird, never mind. It's probably what someone will write in Starbucks when I go back next week. If you enjoyed the session, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and give us a like. And of course, we shall be back next Monday with our next session, which I believe we're not decided on what we're focused on yet, have we?
No, we'll announce it in due course. Quite a few people are asking about Wednesday. Quite a few people are asking about the A-level one on Wednesday, and that's beliefs this week. Yeah.
I'm just going to get my beliefs version of this.
All right. Okay. And then people talking about the timings, because obviously we've tried to pick a time that would be a good time for you. But now you're back at school. Obviously this one was okay for you lot because you're here. But if just type in the window if you thought this was an okay time, or if it's a bit too early or whatever, feel free to type that in. We can't necessarily promise to do every time that people request, but do feel free to type something in.
Yeah, super. We'll take a look at those times, and it'll continue to be A-level on a Wednesday, GCSE on a Monday.
Yeah.
All the way up to Easter, and then we'll take a look and see what support we can provide over Easter as well. That'd be cool.
I suppose the only other quick thing was because we said we're not sure what we're doing next Monday, we'll make a decision. But if you want to suggest some GCSE topics in the window, do please. That'd be great. Okay. A couple of people saying this time's good, so that's all right.
Yeah, it's all good.
Right.
Brilliant. Right,
Wednesday
thanks.
one's at 7:30.
7:30. Yeah, Wednesday is a slightly later time just for this week because the schedule has been adjusted for some absences in the afternoon. But I think we're going to be going for a 4:30, Duncan, aren't we, on Wednesdays going forward after that?
That's the long-term plan, I think. Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Superb. All right, brilliant. Awesome session. Thanks very much for everybody who's got involved. And Craig for unmuting his mic before we got going at the start of the session. We'll edit that one out, Craig, so it'll be seamless. No one will ever know. Although, of course, I'll have to edit out this comment as well, wouldn't I? So let's not bother. Let's leave it in.
I think it will be GCSE stratification. Some people are asking for as well.
Okay.
Yeah, that's definitely one we're looking at. I also think next week we will also be releasing the Craig's blooper reel from this week as well, which might be an hour-long program. So, yeah.
It's getting longer by the minute, Craig. Thanks very much, as always, to Vicky and to Craig and to Duncan for stepping into the off the subs bench. Duncan, you may be back. It's been excellent.
It could happen.
Great to see everyone. Don't forget, take a look on the tutordu.net/live link because we've got some other GCSE sessions coming up, geography and business, I think, next day or two, and some other subjects as well, A-level subjects for those who are doing A-levels. That's cool. Right. That's all. I think we're done. So We'll see you next time. Thanks very much.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.